Nobody tells you that spiritual awakening will feel like your life is falling apart. I know. Not metaphorically, by the way, actually falling apart. We're so peace, enlightenment, a beautiful unfolding, but most people live in it. It feels like confusion, even like grief, like watching everything you built slowly stop making sense and not being able to explain it to a single person in your life. If that's where you're at right now, something I want you to hear before anything else, there's nothing wrong with you. Now, this is what awakening actually looks like. You just haven't had anyone tell you that yet. Now, my name's Ann Varney, and I've been in the work for, oh God, nearly 20 years now. I've supported thousands of people through spiritual awakening and through what comes after it. Now, I've had 3 burnouts and 3 rebuilds. I rebuilt from bankruptcy without telling a single soul. Who even does that? Because the shame of it just felt unsurvivable. I walked sacred lands across the world. I was trapped at 13,000 feet on a snow-covered mountain in Nepal at a Buddhist monastery. That one made the media, the newspapers, front pages, and I've received hundreds of physical feathers in places that defies logic. Literally just been standing in my laptop, under my pillow, inside my phone case. The last one appeared this week. And I'm not telling you this to impress you. I'm telling you this so you know everything I'm about to share, I've lived every single word of it from experience. Yeah? And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the truth about what awakening actually is. The identity collapse, the isolation, the grief, that dark night of the soul, and then what comes after all of it. If you're willing to walk through it instead of around it, stop spiritually bypassing it. Because there's a phase that nobody talks about, and the one after the healing, the one where awareness stops being something that's happening to you and it becomes something that you use. That's where this is going. And one of the first things that happens in awakening is that what I call the identity collapse. Beliefs you've held for decades, they suddenly feel hollow. They feel the career that you built your life around is suddenly misaligned. I know I was a bridal designer, I was that person. Or relationships that felt completely natural, suddenly they don't belong to the version of you that's dissolving them. Most people describe this phase in one sentence of, I don't know who I am anymore. I was that person. And this can be terrifying because you've spent your entire life constructing the self, building it, protecting it, and now it's just going. And here is what nobody tells you. That self was never the real you. It was built from conditioning, family expectations, the blueprint society handed you before you were even old enough to question it, the version of yourself you learned to perform to stay safe and stay loved. Awakening strips that away, and yes, it bloody feels like chaos. It feels like loss, because it is loss. But underneath everything that's fallen away is something that's been there the entire time. The real you. The one that existed before you were taught who to be. And the second thing that happens, and this is the one that catches people completely off guard, is isolation, loneliness. Not because you've pushed people away, not because anything is wrong with the people in your life, but because you've shifted and they haven't. And suddenly you're standing in a room full of people you've known for years and you feel utterly, completely alone. Conversations that used to feel normal now feel like you're going through motions. You've memorized, but you no longer believe in it. You start seeing things others don't see. You're feeling things at a depth that it doesn't have any words to you yet. And after a while, you just stop trying to explain it. Not because you've given up, but because you start to sense that they genuinely can't hear it. Not yet, anyway. This is where most people start to question themselves. Am I going mad? Is there something wrong with me? And I want to say this clearly to you. Nothing is wrong with you. You've just woken up. You're not too sensitive. You're not broken. And you're certainly not imagining it. What's actually happening is you're seeing from a level of awareness that most people around you haven't reached yet. And that's not a flaw. That's the awakening doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The third layer, and the one that the wellness world is most uncomfortable talking about, is grief. Real, tangible grief. Because you grieve the life you thought you were living, the future you had, that you had mapped out, the version of yourself that felt certain. You grieve the relationships that's no longer fitting you, even when you still love the people in them, and maybe sometimes not. And the cruelest part of this grief, from the outside, nothing's changed. There's no event, there's no loss in the world that you can point to. There's no funeral, there's not even a breakup. There's no diagnosis, just you. Carrying something immense that has no name, while life carries on around you. It's as if everything is completely normal. And that invisibility is its own kind of pain. But this grief has purpose. Awakening is not about adding something new to your life. It's about removing what was never actually you. And that removal, it has to be grieved, not bypassed, not positive thought away, grieved. Because on the other side of that grief is something that you've never had before. Honesty. Real, bone deep honesty about who you are and what you're here for. And once you understand the terrain, awakening becomes something you can actually navigate. Now, from working with hundreds of thousands of people over 3 decades, I've seen the same 4 phases appear again and again in every culture, every background, every belief system. The details change, but the phases don't. Phase 1, the identity collapse. The old self dissolves, not because you failed, not because you did anything wrong, but because it was never the real you. It was a constructed version, the one built to survive, to be accepted, to stay safe. And what I see when people come out of the other side of that phase is clarity. It doesn't need certainty, presence that doesn't need performance, the ability to walk in a room as themselves, fully, without the armor. Phase 2, the isolation. You walk alone for a while. This is not punishment, this is preparation. The relationships and communities that are right for the next chapter of your life. You haven't arrived yet. And the ones that you're leaving behind, they weren't wrong, but just belong to a version of you that's completed. The loneliness peaks right before the right people arrive. I've seen this so many times. I'd stake my reputation on it. Or what about phase 3, the dark night of the soul? Yeah, this is the most misunderstood phase. People try to meditate through it, manifest through it, positive think their way out of it. But the dark night of the soul is not depression. It's not a spiritual crisis. It is the dissolution of a false identity. And that process has to be moved through. It's not managed. It asks one question very simply, with no room to avoid it. Who are you? Without the roles, the titles, the achievements, or the story. I walked through this after I won Scottish Design of the Year within months, bankruptcy. I didn't tell a single person. I was so frightened of being judged that I carried it completely alone. Rebuilt entirely from scratch, retrained, started again. I even lost 4 stone in the process of writing my first book because I wrote about it. That's what my dark night looked like. Not a quiet retreat, a complete demolition. But what I found on the other side, that was the only version of myself I've never actually been able to sustain because it was true. Phase 4, leadership. This is a phase nobody talks about, and it's the one that matters the most, because after awakening, the question changes. It stops being what's happening to me, and it becomes, what do I do with it? Yeah, awareness without application is just spiritual suffering in a different costume. At some point, not everyone, and those who are called, awakening stops being about you. And it's about what you do with what you've learned. That's where leadership begins. Not guru leadership, not follow me leadership. I hate that kind of leadership. My bridal days, I was that kind of leadership. Certainly not now. The kind that comes from having walked through the fire yourself and coming back with something real in your hands. I lost 10,000 followers overnight during the Oracle Code product launch. A hack wiped everything at the exact moment that restarted that launch. But I kept going. Not because I didn't feel it, but because by that point, I understood something. The work doesn't live in a platform, it lives in the people. When people move through these phases fully, not spiritually bypassing, not rushing, something remarkable happens. Life becomes simpler, not easier, simpler, more honest, more aligned. You wake up knowing who you are, not because you have all the answers, but because you're no longer pretending. Relationships become real, works becomes expression, and the life that you're living, you actually choose it. It's yours. For me, life looks like this. I travel the world, Vietnam, Bali, 80 plus countries over the last years. I work 4, 5 hours a day. Sometimes I go over, but that's mainly what I try and do. I run sold out spiritual retreats. Next one's in August. One message, sold out. Invite only. I've had my work featured across hundreds of media outlets globally, and I still get feathers. In places I've just walked out of or been, in ways that have no logical explanation every single time. And every single time it stops me. And every single time it reminds me the invisible world is real and it responds. It's not a story I made up. I've got 20 years of evidence of things that defy logic, that invisible world. It just defies it. So if anything in this video landed, if you recognize yourself in the collapse, the isolation, the grief, the dark night of the soul, I want you to know something. You're not alone in this, and you don't have to navigate it alone. I run a free community called the Spiritual Awakening Academy. It's on school, and even if you've never been in school, it's very easy to use, and it's where people who are awake become together to actually figure out how to live and lead from that space, not just survive it. How can we help other people as well as help ourselves? We talk about real shit, the challenges, the gifts, and how to turn what you've walked through into something that generally helps others. Links in the description, guys. Come and join us. It's free. It's real. And it's full of people who will understand exactly what you've been trying to explain to people who maybe can't hear it yet. Because remember this, awakening may begin as something that happens to you, but leadership, that's what you choose to do with it. And that's a choice. That's where everything changes.